be. Okay, so what I was showing you is that where you can get your, or your candidate teachers to, or get them accounts. I created you an account the same way. So if you click user management and then manage user accounts, and here's all the different accounts that are in there. And if you were creating yours, so you would select, you probably want them to have teacher accounts since that's what they will be. And the school I've been using is Cyber City School. So there's that, and then I would click on create. And then this is where you'd create them. You'd put in the student's first name, last name, and then email, and then whatever content areas you wanted them to have. And then once you do that, you'd find them in this list, and you just click email login info next to them, and then they'll receive an email from eMetric support with their username and password, as well as they'll get the URL as well, and then they'll have a teacher account to the training site, which it's not exactly the same as the live one just because all those SLO groups aren't in there right now, and then also those new science and social studies items aren't in there yet, but all the math and language arts items are, and they can see how to create items and how that works and everything. And they can see data as well, I believe. Yeah, so you'd like an email on how to create a teacher? Okay, I'm just going to write that down really quick. Just because if I don't write it down, it may not happen. Alright, so send higher ed. Directions to create teacher. Let me make sure. I think I created you as a school level user, so you would be like the same as like a principal. So then you would be able to create teachers in your school district. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Actually, no, I'm not seeing you. Did you receive an email with your username and password? Huh. Do you want to send me an email again with, so I have your email address, and then I will make sure that you get this account. Just be like, I need an account to the training site. I was on the web, or I'll know. I know you know. So, yeah, I apologize for that. I thought I already sent you that. So, yep, then when a teacher logs in, what their account will actually look like. I'm going to log out and log in as a teacher now. Theirs will look like this. So test builder, that's where the teacher would go to actually create the test, create their own items, do all the creating. iTester is their classroom management. That's where they would go to create their classes. They would schedule their test to their class in iTester. And then ScoreNet is where they would score all their extended response items. So if they gave a test which included short answer or essay or anything where the students are typing in, then they would go to ScoreNet to score all of those. And then data interactions where they see all the data. So I can show you any parts of that, whatever would be beneficial to you. Yeah, of course. So maybe I'm going to go back and forth between the live site and the training site. I'll show you what it looks like in the live site. And they're pretty much the same, but I just wanted you to see all the SLO groups. And this takes a while to load. Okay, so I'm going to choose classroom. And then this is what the home screen of Test Builder looks like. It's all the different groups. So you'll notice here's where the SLO one starts. So these are available to all teachers, all these SLO groups. And then they could go into items and forms, and they're contributors in them, so they can add items to them, and anything they find that, and they can add forms in there too, and anything they find they can also share into their personal item bank. So I said personal item bank. Every teacher has a personal item bank, and that is right here for me. So personal item bank. So whatever I create in there, nobody else has access to. It's just for me personally, and that's where most teachers would share their items and forms, unless they're using a group. And groups, if I created a group way up at the top, here's create new group. That's where I name my group and I select other teachers that are in my school to join my group. I can either set them as managers, contributors, or just viewers. And if a district level user does this, they can add people from across the district, and that's how you would add fourth graders from different schools. So that's kind of what the groups look like. And I'll just show you in items. Here's all of the items. So you'll notice that the middle school, high school, if I clicked on math, there's only one item in there, but if I clicked on forms, there's a few forms to use. So there's a 6th grade math test, there's 7th grade math test, 60 questions. So teachers could use that for their SLO, or they could just create their own. They'd probably want to create their own test just because, well, I guess it's over the same standards and everything, but just, I don't know. If I was a teacher, I would probably want to choose my own items still. And if I go to the math group, so I was saying how there's different math, or there's different state groups. So here's all the state items that we have for math. So you'll notice there's 268 pages, 20 items to a page. So we got a lot of items in there. And so we have this for math, language arts, science, social studies, and health. If I type in NAEP, that's how we get those higher order thinking items. We have 38 pages of NAEP items. And whenever an item in their title has the word NAEP, that means that it's a higher order thinking item. And then you just hover over the magnifying glass to see what that looks like. It's just being slow right now. So there's an example. So this would be like a 1st grade level question. And we have all the way from 1st grade all the way to 12th grade with these NAEP items as well. Yep, and then the pre-made forms. Here's all those pre-made forms I was telling about. So if a teacher just selected a standard, let's say they're doing kindergarten Common Core A, so no number names and count sequence. Here's a 9-question quiz right there, or a form is what they're called, that teachers could use to. They could either share it to their personal item bank, and then they would be able to add to it, delete from it, do whatever they want with it. So it's just pretty much starting place with a form, so they don't have to find all their own items. How to create it. Like to see what the form looks like. And just to let you know, the kindergarten, because kindergartners wouldn't normally just log in and take a test on the computer, so it might be done as a classroom discussion or a one-on-one assessment. So the questions are as simple as count as high as you can, count to 100 by tens, look at the number, count on from that number. So maybe I'll show you a different one as well, just because this is it. Yeah. So then count the shapes and write how many. So this is something that the teacher would do as the class or one-on-one. So yeah, looks a little bit different. But if I went more towards the end, so here's a geometry NAEP one. So if I clicked on that, and this is high school now. So each of the 12 sides of the figure above have the same length. Which of the following angles has a measure of 90 degrees? So then they would answer this question. They just click on the one that they think is correct. I'm just going to see if there's any that are not multiple choice. So as you see, these are what the multiple choice looks like. So here's one that's extended response. So it says prove that AC is congruent to DC and give a reason for each statement in the proof. So students would start to type their proof here. And what's nice about this as well is depending on the item, there's math type. So it's very easy for a student to enter in a fraction, very easy to do a square root, or, oh, that's new. So now you can do like third roots or cube or fourth roots and all that. You can do exponents. It's cutting off of my screen right here, but over to the right there's exponents and all of the different math symbols. And what's nice, eMetric, like I was saying, they're very great to work with. We told them that there needed to be more than just square roots, and they added that in there. So they're very good at our requests. They're a lot. If they can, they make it happen, which is cool to see. That is a great question. So for the last 2 years, what I would do is if districts wanted training, they would get me to come to their districts for free. I would just come and train them for about 3 hours. There just had to be at least 10 teachers. But now it's kind of changed just because I was gone all the time with that, which I love doing. But now there's different options. I can either do a webinar with a district, just like I was doing with you, and I would go through everything, and that takes almost 2 to 3 hours as well, because I'd go through step 1, how to create a class, and then everybody that's on the other end, they would go through that step, and I would just wait on the computer until they had questions or were ready to move on. And then I would create a form and attach it to a test, and then I would give them time to do it, and then I would schedule them, give them time to do it. So it was so that's an option. I can have a webinar with people if they like that. And the state now has a new thing called the menu of options. It's just a list of professional developments that districts can purchase. And depending on their size, they all get at least 7 professional developments for free. And if they're bigger, they get more hours or something like that. But on the menu of options, one of the professional developments that they can request is having someone come to their district to train them on how to use the assessment portal. And we're actually having the train the trainer for this on September 29th. And then after that, any district can request a training on assessment portal. And then at all the major conferences, I try to get there to talk about the assessment portal. And now the digital library, that's another tool that is coming out. The Smarter Balanced, it's not just the summative test. They have a formative assessment piece, which is called the digital library, and we are just beginning to push that out across the state. It'll be available in October, and that's another tool that I'm trying to get buy-in in for people to use. And so just presenting at conferences, and then in the fall and winter, we will have regional trainings on assessment portal and the digital library, and then the interim assessment, which is the last part of the Smarter Balanced assessment. So a lot of training options. And what I also did, if I go to the DOE website, if I go to assessment, and then I'm just hovering over South Dakota Assessment Portal, this is where you can get all the information. So there's assessment portal at a glance, all my help guides are there. So a help guide on how to create a test, help guide on how to create items. And so all these help guides are there, just step-by-step, one-page help guides. And then what I've been doing is video guides. If I click on video guides, I have all these videos that teachers can, or anybody can watch them. So here's one about using Assessment Portal to create your SLO. Pretty much the information I gave you on this webinar. How to create a class, here's a 3-minute video on that. How to create a form, how to create a test, schedule a test to a class to get your students to take the test, how to access the higher order thinking items, those NAEP items, creating items, and then enable guided access on iPad so that testing is secure on the iPad. And then the benchmark assessment, there's a 3-minute video on that as well. So I try creating these videos for anybody to access just because I know I can't get everywhere. It's kind of a one-man, or another guy helps me with it too, so we're kind of a two-man team. So it is very difficult. We're up for suggestions on how to get Assessment Portal out to the state. If people ask us to come present at a conference, we usually can make it happen. So yeah, good. I'm trying to figure out if I have a technology enhanced item in here that I can show you. Huh. I'm not seeing, nope, I didn't see one, but if I wanted to find a technology enhanced item, I could do that as well. So if I went to items, and all of our items in the title tell what is in the item. So if I type in TEI, here's all the technology enhanced. Is there a specific grade level you'd like to see? Here's one. Let's just check this one out. So it says create a 3-digit number using the digits 2, 4, 6, so that the 4 means 4 tenths, digit 6 means 600s. Drag the numbers into the box. So 4 tenths, they would just drag it into the box like that. 600s, whoops. And then the 2 would go here. So that's an example of technology enhanced. Oh, and one thing I wanted to show you too, the language arts NAEP items look a little bit different. They're actually forms. So if I go to language arts and I have to go to the forms page, is there a specific grade level you work with or not? Okay. Well, in our NAEP pre-made forms, we have all these. So there's like alien invasion, all these different stories. So let's just say I do alien invasion. And what this looks like, this is named so we know it's higher order thinking. So they would have this story to read. I'm trying to go slow because I know it is delayed for you. So they have the story, and then there's questions on the right. So there's a multiple choice, multiple choice, multiple choice. Here's a constructed response or extended response. And what's nice about these is that they're all referring to the text. So using what you read in Alien Invasion, explain why people should be concerned about invasive species. So then the student would have to type in their response to that. Yes, these extended response ones, the teacher would have to actually score them in ScoreNet. Nope. There is, so that one right there, if I went to items, and the teacher would be able to see the rubric once they gave the test, or they can, I believe they can if by just clicking, there's some way they can, if they go to forms and then they click on form details, they can see the rubric. Or if I go to the NAEP That was 8th grade. Oh, not math. Let's see if it's still in there. Okay, so alien invasion. And here's the question right there. So if I click to look at it, I'll just show you what one of these look like. Whoops, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. So I'm going to just click on edit just to show you what a rubric looks like. So here's the rubric right here. It's out of 3 points. So there's full comprehension, and it explains what the student or how they answered the item to get full comprehension. And then there's partial comprehension, and then there's little or no comprehension. It gives an explanation for each of those. Yep, and teachers, when they score it, they would be able to see that. So yeah, that's what these, and there's about 8 to 12 items for each of these ELA NAEP forms. So teachers have access to those, can use them however they want. They could even use the story and add questions to it, because they could share all this to their personal item bank and do whatever they want. So yep, so if I clicked on forms, and I'll just go to the ones that are already made. So here's all those forms I was telling you about. Teacher could just click on this button right here that says create test using this form. And what would happen there is it creates a test and attaches this form to it. And I'll kind of explain that, like how there's a form and a test tab. The reason that is because you could have multiple forms of a test. So you could have form A and form B. The form is just what the students see, and then the test is you attach the forms to it, because I think of Dakota STEP test how there was 4 different forms of it, but they're all the same test. So if I would have created another form, I could add an existing form to it, but it has to be the exact same items, just shuffled, and I haven't done that. So then if I did this, then I would be able to schedule my test so that the class I created would be able to take my test. Yep, so let me think where to go. So if I have this form, and let's just say I shared it to my personal item bank. So then if I go to my personal item bank, and to share it, you just click on over on my right. It's hovering right now. It says share a copy of this form. That's how I could share it into one of those SLO groups, or I could share it into my personal item bank. And once I share it into my personal item bank, so let's just say I have this one right here, this CC8 RI NAEP Newton Minnow. I could go in and I could view it by clicking on the magnifying glass, or if I went in to edit it. So right now I'm going in and editing the form in my personal item bank, because now I have access to edit it since it's in my personal item bank. And this takes a little bit of time. Okay, here we go. So here it only has 8 questions. What I could do is add items. And if I go to filters, then I could add items from my personal item bank, or I could add items from the language arts state bank, or any of those SLO groups I could add items from if there were. Let's just say I know there's items in the SLO language arts group, English language arts. So if I wanted to add any of these items, I could do that too. So I would just click on them, and that would be how I added them to my test. Yep. And I might cancel that so it doesn't actually do that. So, oh, and you said data. So let's say I created my test. I gotta log back in. So I'm just gonna go into iTester, test sessions, and I think math is what I usually work in. So if I go to classroom, why am I in 2012-13? Okay, I think they've updated this because none of my stuff is in here right now. So there's all my classes. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where all my stuff went. Okay, so let's just say I'll just create a math test. So let's say 4th grade math. I would publish it. So apparently that one's not available anymore. Oh, it's finished. So I have to find one that's unpublished. Maybe I should just create one from scratch just to show you it all. Actually, we probably don't have much time for that. So if I just, let's see. Chapter 1 test, let's just try that. So if I click on that, so it's published, so now if I schedule it, yeah, I would have to create from scratch just because my time period ended before, so I would have to create a form and then attach it to a test. Or I guess what I could, yeah, but anyways, I'll show you the data. If I go to data interaction, and let's just go to 2012-13, I think that's the, we'll just go to this, and then if I click get report, so this data is not perfect, but you can at least see what it looks like. So if I click show percentages, it'll show my total score, it'll show my multiple choice score, open-ended, which is extended response, and then technology enhanced. So there's scores for all that. And then if I click on scores up top, that's how I can see my multiple choice item response. And I can also see how they answered for each content standard. So then it kind of turns into a long report, but as you notice, here's my item responses. I noticed that question 3, students did not do too well. So if I click on that, it'll show me what question that is, so I can decide if it's because it's a bad question or maybe I didn't cover it well enough or whatever it is. So, and then I can also scroll to the right and it breaks it down by content standard how the students did. And this is kind of a poor example just because it has questions all over the board. And what's nice about this as well, if I click on the student's name, I have an individual student report and maybe my customizable threshold, I can set it at certain percentages. So maybe I say that they have to score at least 80. So I'm just doing this really quick. Save. And now notice that I can see which standards that my students scored higher than 80% on. So I think that would be really nice with the student learning objective. Maybe your goal is that every student will score at least 75% on their assessment, or most of them will probably be growth goals, like each student will increase by 30 or 20% or 25% or differentiated goal. But it'd just be very easy to set the customizable threshold for each student, and very nice to just be able to compare your pre-assessment and post-assessment individual student reports. Yeah. So, and ScoreNet, that is where they would go to score those extended response items that you were talking about, or that you asked about. So is there anything else that you would like to see or... Okay, yeah, I don't know if I'll get it sent today. I have to go leave for the day. But yeah, maybe I'll say this too. If you're higher ed faculty, email me and I can get you a username and password for the training site, and you can get your teacher candidates in here to practice around as well. So, yes, no problem. And let me know if you do have any other questions, and I'll let you know where I post this as well, this video and everything. I guess you don't need to see the video, but I'll send an email to everybody. Yep. Have a good day. And my email address is Matthew, MATTHEW, .gill, GILL, @state.sd.us. Thank you.